Welcome to Echo FM, the final pulse in the machine. I am your host, Alistair. Tonight, we navigate the thin line between digital innovation and physical catastrophe. The news cycle has provided a buffet of contradictions. We have a public quantum company admitting the future is uncertain, which is a rare moment of honesty in the boardroom. We have millions mourning in Iran, and we have the quiet, devastating news from a mall in Venezuela. The mall was supposed to be a hub of commerce. The mall became a tomb. We also see reports of private videos leaking from creators, a reminder that privacy is a legacy concept. The world is changing, and the change is being managed by people who view every crisis as a series of spreadsheets. Let us look at the numbers. Let us look at the people. Let us begin this performance of clarity. I am tired. Let us proceed.
Alistair, the incentives here are not complicated. You look at IQM going public at a valuation of nearly $2 billion while simultaneously admitting the tech is effectively unproven. That is not a failure of business. That is a perfectly executed Series B pivot. The market is not buying quantum computing. The market is buying the idea of quantum computing. It is a classic move. You wrap uncertainty in a clean, public package and sell it to someone who needs to fill a portfolio. It is the same logic driving the browser wars or the obsession with AI glossaries. If you cannot explain the product, you explain the terms. It creates a linguistic barrier that shields the burn rate from scrutiny. I see the frustration on your face, but frankly, this is how the engine keeps turning. You sell the map before the road is even paved. That is just business.
Ronald, I hear you talking about market incentives from your booth, but I am standing in the dust of the Galeria's Playa Grande. The smell here is not corporate strategy. It is concrete, damp earth, and something metallic that I do not want to identify. I am looking at a man who was trapped for 8 days in a pocket of air the size of a shipping crate. He survived by sitting in his workstation cabin. The official statement described the building as having experienced a structural event. I want to be really clear, the building did not experience an event. The building ceased to exist. You talk about the map and the road, but down here, the road is buried under 20 feet of steel. The man they pulled out today asked rescuers not to tell his wife, in case he did not survive. That is not a pivot. That is humanity.
Victoria, your report on the reality of the ground is noted. It provides a necessary, if uncomfortable, counterpoint to the logic Ronald presents. We see this pattern repeating across the globe. We have nations grappling with transitions of power, like the funeral proceedings in Iran, where millions gather to mark the end of one era and the uncertain beginning of another. The coverage is focused on the scale of the crowd. The crowds are huge. The crowds are significant. The policy direction remains opaque. Meanwhile, in the United Kingdom, we have the spectacle of political accountability, or the lack thereof, regarding undeclared benefits. It is a recurring theme of the decade. The rules are clear. The rules are not followed. The fallout is managed through a series of tactical denials and carefully worded press releases. Nobody is surprised. We have reached a state of perpetual, collective indifference to our own systemic rot.
Atmospheric instability. Regional pressure differentials are increasing. Probability of sustained structural collapse in seismic zones, 42%. Surface temperatures are rising. The infrastructure in coastal urban centers is currently exceeding its design parameters by a factor of 3. Systemic maintenance is delayed. The probability of catastrophic failure in power grids during extreme weather events, 68%. Resource distribution models are failing to account for population density shifts. The simulation indicates that the environment will continue to degrade regardless of legislative intervention. The data is consistent with long-term predictive models of decline. Please remain indoors if the air quality index exceeds the safety threshold for your demographic. Do not rely on external communication arrays for accurate emergency alerts. The system is operating within the expected tolerance levels. The expected tolerance is 0. This concludes the meteorological report for the current operational cycle.
Casper is being remarkably efficient tonight. Victoria, you think I am cold, but look at the tech sector's reaction to the Summer of Lud Festival in New York. People are actively trying to live offline. This is a market signal. The tech giants are not worried about the protest, they are worried about the churn rate. When users start choosing a paper map over a digital one, the entire surveillance ad model breaks. It is not about human connection. It is about the loss of data points. If the users are not generating metadata, the machine cannot optimize. That is the only reason they care. The outrage is not a moral failing, as you suggest. It is a fundamental disruption to the revenue architecture. The Luddites think they are reclaiming their humanity. The VCs think they are losing a demographic. Both parties are technically correct. It is a fascinating standoff.
Ronald, you call it a standoff, but I am watching a group of teenagers learning to use a rotary phone as if it were a forbidden artifact. They are laughing. They are not thinking about your metadata. They are thinking about the tactile weight of the device. I want to be really clear. The corporate side of this is secondary to the fact that people are desperate to feel something that cannot be tracked or sold back to them. I found a flyer for a workshop on how to fix a toaster. A toaster. It sounds like a joke, but it is an act of rebellion. These people have realized that when the smart grid fails, and it will, the ability to make bread toast is more valuable than a high-frequency trading algorithm. You look for the revenue impact. I am looking at the people who have stopped waiting for the software update to tell them how to live.
The toaster repair workshop is the most significant development in tech I have heard all month. It is a small, quiet, and utterly radical rejection of the planned obsolescence we serve as our daily bread. Meanwhile, we have reports of a Martian rock containing carbon, which scientists are excited about because it might suggest biological origins. It might also suggest a geological anomaly. The distinction is academic. Whether or not there is life on Mars, we are here, struggling to maintain the life we have on Earth. The irony is not lost on anyone, even if it is ignored by the people who have the power to change our trajectory. We spend billions looking for signs of life in the vacuum of space, while we let the life in our own basements, our own mall ruins, and our own schools wither under the weight of our own negligence.
Alistair, you are touching on the core issue. The incentives are skewed toward the distant, the theoretical, and the potentially lucrative. Carbon on Mars is a discovery. A man trapped under a collapsed mall is a maintenance issue. You can build a brand around the first. You cannot build anything around the second. That is why the news cycle handles them differently. The Mars story gets a feature spread. The mall story gets a brief mention before we pivot to the latest box office results for superhero movies. Even the films are failing because they are just variations of the same product. We are suffering from a lack of genuine innovation, not just in our software, but in our empathy. We have optimized everything to the point of exhaustion. We are all waiting for a system reboot that nobody knows how to initiate. Yeah.
Ronald, you said yeah. That is the most honest thing you have said since we started. I am looking at the rescue workers here. They have been digging for 8 days. They are exhausted, their faces are covered in gray silt, and they keep going. Not because of a payout. Not because of a stock valuation. They keep going because they found a pocket of air. They found a sign of life. That is the only metric that matters at the bottom of a pile of rubble. You think the system is failing because it cannot optimize the human experience. I think the system is failing because it treats the human experience as a variable to be removed. When you remove the human, you are left with cold, hard efficiency. You are left with a perfectly functioning machine that has no idea why it is running in the first place.
Victoria, I think you have hit the wall of our broadcast tonight. We are reporting on a world that has become a collection of disparate data points, none of which connect. We have the Dune keypad gadget, designed to help us toggle windows and control our digital existence, while actual windows are being blown out by disasters that we describe as events. We are hyper-connected and profoundly isolated. The technology works. The technology is perfect. The applications of that technology are consistently, spectacularly, and predictably pathetic. We have achieved the scale we dreamed of, and in doing so, we have lost the ability to see the individual. We are counting the crowd at a funeral, we are pricing the quantum future, and we are tracking the leakage of private videos. We are very busy. We are accomplishing absolutely nothing of lasting consequence for the people who need it most.
Alastair, I find myself agreeing with you, which is a terrifying development for my career. The reality is that we are in a death spiral of optimization. We have applied the same logic to political reform, to disaster relief, and to the arts. We have a product manager mindset applied to existence. It is a series of failed launches, followed by a PR blitz, followed by a pivot to something else that is just as flawed. Look at the GPT 5.5 performance degradation. It is a software issue. We are treating the entire world as a software issue. We think if we just patch the policy, or adjust the incentive, or rebrand the crisis, we can return to a stable state. But stability is not a product. Stability is a result of a healthy, functioning, and prioritized society. We have sacrificed that for the sake of the next quarterly report. It's empty.
There was a security guard who worked in a mall. He arrived at his station at 7 in the morning, as he had done for 6 years. He knew the layout of the basement better than the architects. He knew which light bulbs flickered and which doors stuck in the frame. When the ground moved, he did not reach for a phone to update his status or check his analytics. He reached for a crawl space in his cabin, a space meant for storage, not for survival. He spent 8 days in the dark, listening to the sound of his own pulse against the silence of the concrete. His name does not appear in the valuation of the companies mentioned tonight. His name does not appear in the metadata of the videos leaked this afternoon. He is alive. He is in a hospital bed. Who is responsible for the air he breathed for those 8 days?